You've seen heads of state move under layers of bulletproof glass, flanked by black SUVs and earpieces crackling with coded chatter. But what if I told you some pastors walk with protection so extreme it made Donald Trump stop and stare? This isn't a bodyguard standing at a church door. We're talking motorcades, drone surveillance, facial recognition gates, and military-grade extraction teams. These aren't preachers with security. They're institutions inside security systems. And yet, most people have never even noticed. Because that's the point. Today, we'll uncover the spiritual leaders who move like targets in war zones. The pastors whose arrival triggers no applause but security lockdowns that rival the Secret Service. The kind of protocols that presidents use in conflict zones, now deployed inside church walls. One pastor, he doesn't even speak until a decoy convoy clears the perimeter. Biometric scans sweep the crowd, and encrypted frequencies go live. And the price tag, not hundreds of thousands, millions. But here's the twist. This isn't about fear. It's about visibility. In a world where faith equals influence equals exposure, and exposure that equals risk. So why was Donald Trump, man of gold-plated helicopters and round-the-clock Secret Service, visibly impressed by a pastor's protection detail? Because what he saw wasn't public knowledge, and what's hiding behind the final layer of security, you won't see it coming. Stay till the end, because once you see how deep this goes, you'll never look at the pulpit the same way again. Before the sermon began, before a single verse was quoted from the pulpit, a motorcade rolled into the private entry lane of a gated facility in Texas. 2 decoy vehicles, 1 lead SUV, and a matte black Mercedes S-Class with no license plates. The side door opened. Nothing happened. Not yet. 2 men in civilian suits stepped out first. No guns visible, no badges shown, but their presence said everything. One scanned the crowd. The other made a subtle hand signal, palm down. 2 taps on the thigh. Only then did Pastor Stephen Joseph emerge, calm, smiling, moving between them like air between glass walls. But this wasn't theater. It was presidential protocol. Standing nearby that day was former U.S. President Donald J. Trump, according to multiple eyewitnesses. Even he paused, eyebrows lifted, as the choreography unfolded. Because what he saw wasn't ordinary. It was elite-level security, the kind designed not just to protect, but to extract. Joseph's security detail includes former Special Forces operatives, trained in counter-surveillance and close-quarter abduction drills. Their communication isn't over walkie-talkies. It runs through encrypted frequencies, the same kind used in forward operating bases overseas. His Mercedes A custom-built Maybach Mermac S680, armored to VR-10 standards, resistant to sniper fire, grenade blasts, and chemical exposure. Inside, an oxygen regeneration system, escape hatch, and self-sealing fuel tank. Estimated cost upwards of $2 million, and that's before custom enhancements. And yet, despite the layers, you wouldn't notice them. Because the real security, it blends into silence, moves only when it must, and shields not just a man, but a message. Is it excessive, or is Stephen Joseph just living proof that in today's world, faith isn't safe, but you're also free to ask, if pastors move like presidents, who are they really protecting themselves from? If Pastor Stephen Joseph walks like a head of state, Pastor Chris Oyakhilome operates like an entire government, from Lagos to London, Houston to Johannesburg. His events pull in stadium-sized crowds, 50,000 plus attendees. Lights, cameras, global live streams. But behind the faith and fervor lies a fortress, one built not just with guards, but with code, drones, and data. Entry begins with a smile, but it ends with a skin ayan. Select venues. Attendees walk through biometric gates, no wristbands, no tickets. Instead, facial recognition software silently compares every face against a preloaded watch list, not just for known threats, but for behavioral red flags, crowd anomalies, repeated attendance patterns, nervous eye movement. You'd never know, because you're not supposed to. Overhead, surveillance drones hum quietly. watching crowd flow, flagging thermal clusters that break formation. Operators sit inside a mobile command van, parked somewhere nearby, hidden, watching. And this isn't outsourced security. It's custom-designed intelligence infrastructure, developed in coordination with private defense contractors. The goal isn't to intimidate, it's to intervene before chaos begins. Estimated cost per mega event, between 1 million and 1.5 million, depending on risk index and geopolitical climate. But the real investment isn't in gear, it's in silence. You won't see security shouting into radios, you won't see Ds or metal detectors, because in Pastor Chris's world, visibility is vulnerability, and protection is predictive. Critics call it overkill, supporters call it prophetic foresight, but one thing is clear, he doesn't walk with security. He moves inside a security system. Would you even notice, and if you did, would it feel like church or like something else entirely? Most churches have parking lots. This one has airspace coordination. Welcome to Faith Tabernacle, headquarters of Bishop David Oyedepo, located inside a sprawling 500-acre private estate called Canaan Land, Nigeria. But don't let the name fool you. This isn't just a church, it's a city. Inside, a private university, financial institutions, power stations, housing zones, and a worship facility that can seat over 300,000 people. With that kind of scale comes one word: vulnerability, and Oyedepo's team treats it accordingly. Before a single worshiper steps inside, perimeter sweeps are conducted, vehicles are scanned for explosives, undercarriage mirror checks, RF signal scans, X-ray machines at the gate, and facial recognition systems embedded in gate architecture disguised as lighting fixtures. Security doesn't wear badges here. They wear smiles. Undercover agents move like ushers, dressed like you, standing next to you, watching everything. Inside the compound, a tactical response unit trains weekly in riot control, mass evacuation, and high-value extraction. Formations shift based on crowd density. They blend into the congregation until one movement breaks pattern, then they move, fast and silent. Even Bishop Oyedepo's convoy doesn't repeat the same route twice. His armored Range Rovers and Land Cruisers move under tight radio silence. Windows opaque, communications encrypted, no public schedule, no press trail. At mega events like Shiloh, where believers from 100-plus countries gather, the entire site goes into lockdown mode. National security forces coordinate airspace surveillance. Mobile activity is monitored for SIM card spikes, fake hotspots, or remote detonation threats. Estimated annual security cost, over $2.5 million. But for Oyedepo, it's not luxury. It's mission critical. Because what he's building isn't just a church, it's a movement with infrastructure. And the enemy isn't always visible. Some churches use cameras. This one uses psychological profiling. At first glance, Prophet David O's compound looks serene glass, stone, open air. But beneath the architecture lies something far more engineered, a layered matrix of surveillance systems, live behavior tracking, and military-grade threat response. Here, everyone is watched, but no one feels it. Each attendee begins with routine registration, but behind-the-scenes facial micro-expression analysis, social media behavior scans, even past affiliations and online sentiment are run through filters. If you trigger a flag, you're not stopped. You're simply denied entry. No explanation, no confrontation, just a quiet redirection at the gate. Inside, the compound runs like a simulation. Pressure-sensitive walkways, thermal imaging hidden in wall panels. Each seating zone has line-of-sight coverage from at least one tactical security agent disguised as regular attendees. Weekly evacuation drills are rehearsed silently. No alarms, no panic, just fluid motion. In high-risk gatherings, trauma kits and exit vehicles are pre-positioned just off camera, and Prophet David O. himself, he never enters from the same location twice. His convoy, armored Lexus LX 600s and custom Land Cruisers, arrives minutes before he appears on stage. But the most expensive element of his system, not the vehicles, not the scanners, it's the data. A private intelligence firm monitors Live digital chatter. Mentions of his name, positive or hostile, are tracked, ranked, and analyzed in real time. Critics call it paranoia. His followers call it divine foresight. But one thing is certain in this church. You're not just seen, you're profiled. Most pastors preach behind pulpits. Pastor Luka stands before oceans of people, no walls, no dome, just open air and high stakes. His outdoor crusades often gather over 50,000 attendees. No fixed seats, no barriers, just human mass, sound towers, and spiritual intensity. But behind the hallelujahs and loudspeakers is a strategy that borders on military crowd control. Because in a sea of believers, one surge, one misstep, and the entire gathering could collapse. That's why Luka doesn't just preach. He engineers the environment. Overhead drones equipped with thermal and motion sensors scan the crowd in real time. They detect abnormal heat clusters, erratic movement, sudden density shifts. Live footage streams into command vans parked discreetly around the perimeter. On the ground, a two-tiered security system operates in silence. Closest to the stage are plainclothes security agents disguised as worshipers. They carry no visible gear. But they're wired into an encrypted channel, trained not to react but to anticipate. Beyond them, a secondary ring of tactical agents, placed at choke points, speaker towers, transport hubs, exit lanes, no uniforms, no intimidation, just silent readiness. For every visible usher, there's a tactical mirror. For every camera crew, a surveillance tech embedded in plain sight. Even transport vehicles, retrofitted Toyota Land Cruisers and Hilux units are armored, valued at $300,000 plus each. This isn't about protecting a preacher. It's about managing a living organism, a crowd with no margin for error. Because in Pastor Luka's world, faith is fluid, and without precision, it can implode. Most pastors confirm flights. Prophet Ubert Angel reroutes airspace corridors. As both a spiritual leader and presidential envoy, his movements are more than ministry, they're classified operations. Arrival times are masked. Decoy convoys are standard. No public itinerary is ever released. He doesn't just travel, he vanishes between coordinates. On land, Angel rotates between armored Range Rover Sentinels and Mercedes G-Wagons, each modified for ballistic resistance and escape scrambler protocols, ready to vanish from a route mid-drive. Estimated cost per vehicle, $400,000 to $600,000 depending on armor and electronic countermeasures. In the air, it's even more complex. His Gulfstream G200 isn't just a jet. It's a flying fortress retrofitted with satellite encryption, biometric locked compartments, and a rotating tail number. Even his pilots change. Crew members are vetted. And flight clearance often coordinated through diplomatic intelligence channels in both origin and destination countries. Digitally, Angel's team runs a cyber intelligence division, monitoring online chatter, doxing attempts, and geotag threats in real time. Every public appearance has a digital firewall as robust as the physical one. Because in this world, a leak can move faster than a convoy. Critics say it's paranoia. Believers say it's divine preparation. But whether you call it overkill or foresight, one thing is clear. Ubert Angel doesn't move through security, he moves within protocol. And visibility is no longer an asset, it's a liability. Some pastors plan months ahead. Pastor Jeremiah Fufein does the opposite. One moment the crowd is waiting, the next he's already on stage. There's no countdown, no dramatic entrance, just presence sudden, strategic, and heavily secured. That unpredictability isn't style, it's protocol. His events draw tens of thousands, healing gatherings, mega worship nights. But every appearance is treated like a live threat environment. Before he even arrives, his team sweeps the site for RF anomalies, surveillance devices, and signal breaches. High-risk venues deploy signal jammers, cutting off the possibility of remote interference, tracking, or detonation. At the core is a digital command center tucked behind the stage, monitoring crowd behavior, facial patterns, and movement heat maps in real time. On the ground, close protection officers, trained in counter-abduction drills, rotate positions every few minutes. None of them follow a fixed formation. Even his armored vehicles, custom Toyota Land Cruisers valued over $450,000 each, come equipped with hidden exits, emergency kits, and rapid deployment gear. But what makes Jeremiah Fufein's security truly unique? He doesn't enter from the front. He doesn't walk a predictable path. He's everywhere visually, yet nowhere physically until the very last second. In his world, predictability isn't safety. It's a target, and protection is built on misdirection. For most preachers, a raised hand is a gesture of faith. For prophet shepherd Bushiri, it's a data point before he ever speaks. His audience, thousands deep, has already passed through layers of digital surveillance. This isn't just security. It's a national defense-grade algorithm running a spiritual stage. At the heart of Bushiri's protection system lies a digitally integrated threat dashboard, developed by a private firm in South Africa. From one encrypted interface, his team monitors live drone footage, facial patterns and license plate scans, crowd movement anomalies, mobile activity spikes, all processed in real time. If someone raises a hand too quickly, if a heat signature deviates from expected flow, it gets flagged instantly. His global ministry means global exposure. That's why even his travel itineraries are classified, coordinated through diplomatic contacts, and finalized only minutes before takeoff. For mobility, he rotates between Mercedes Maybach S680 guards and BMW X5 protection VR6 vehicles armored to absorb high-caliber attacks, each valued at 600 pound K, 900 K. But even that's not the real firewall. Behind the scenes, his cyber team tracks online mentions, geotagged posts, and emerging threats, building predictive models to simulate attacks before they happen. The result, what looks like faith-driven precision, is actually pre-programmed control. Critics say it's extreme. Supporters say it's prophetic. But for Prophet Bushiri, it's not about preaching safely. It's about protecting an entire ecosystem across every platform, city. And second, Donald Trump has seen it all: presidential convoys, Secret Service drills, foreign intelligence setups. But even he paused. When a pastor emerged from a convoy that moved with military precision, and what shocked him wasn't the car, wasn't the drones, wasn't the bodyguards. It was what he couldn't see, because the final layer of protection wasn't armored steel or biometric gates. It was invisibility, private movement schedules, airspace reroutes, social media scrubbed clean before arrival, encrypted signals, decoy convoys, untraceable footprints. Faith leadership, once built on visibility, now survives through strategic absence. Why? Because when your platform reaches millions, your greatest enemy isn't a bullet, it's exposure. These pastors no longer just preach. They operate as entities spanning nations, influencing economies, commanding digital armies. And in a world where influence equals risk, security is no longer protection, it's infrastructure. So now, the question's yours. Was this excessive, or is this just what it takes to lead in today's world? Comment below which layer shocked you the most. And if you think this was intense, wait until we uncover what's happening beneath the church's underground bunkers, escape tunnels, and survival systems built not for faith, but for fallout.